What's up guys, Devon back at it again with yet another Devon Explains entry, and today we are gonna go over the power of Titan X, the newest addition to the roster, and finally someone who is actually within the mid and high tier levels of the verse. Finally someone who isn't a fodder tin can and who isn't the strongest thing in the verse with literally no competition. Titan X. She has two primary fights, two only fights, and against the two strongest beings in the entire verse at the time, and really top 4 strongest at any given moment in the entire history of the Monsterverse: Kong and Godzilla. You can cry me a river, Kong remains on the level of Godzilla, and fuck do these fights simply prove it. But that's for another video. Let's get right into discussing the power of Titan X in regards to Godzilla. So then, just starting off with the context of the battle, because you know that Devon loves context, Godzilla is angry and aiming to kill X, because even when she runs away, the guy still continues to try and attack her. And we have X defending her egg, meaning that, if she is anything like an actual animal, she would fight, if not to the death, then to extreme injury. She will defend that egg a lot. Which is to say that neither of these guys are holding back. Is Godzilla fighting as hard as he possibly could? No, that is reserved for Ghidorah. Is Godzilla holding anything back?
No.
Let me put it this way, Godzilla is fighting at 100%, but he isn't giving it everything he possibly could. He's not giving it 120%. It's something like that, which is to say that against any other Titan, Ghidorah included, X's feats would apply fully without any, oh, Godzilla was holding back. No. But it still wouldn't be the same as Ghidorah's feats against Godzilla, because that is a Godzilla who is pushing his limits to try and stop
The death of the world.
Meanwhile, against X, she's just trying to kill a Titan that disobeyed him. And X is protecting her f***ing egg, so she is giving it everything she possibly could. We have an extremely evident relativity between these two guys. Godzilla tail whips X and she just doesn't care. Sure, she wails a little bit, but then she just takes no damage. He continues fighting. When Godzilla gets wrapped in X's tentacles, he wails in pain. But he also still doesn't care and continues fighting. What he does do is try to rip her tentacles off him, but he really can't, and he has to continue wrestling X just as he is, requiring more than just brute strength to get her off him. X and Godzilla seem and do just have relative speed, though X does seem to have a little teeny tiny bitty advantage at some points, though they are still just kinda plainly relative. These two guys literally just wrestle equally, and neither of them is stronger than the other. We have these 3 instances which some people would try to say are instances of Godzilla being stronger, such as a single tentacle from X grabbing Godzilla, and Godzilla, getting a painful reaction from that, pulls his arm back. Yes, that is an instance of Godzilla being stronger than X. His arm being stronger than X's single tentacle. That's cool. She wrestles him bodily and they are completely equal. There is no discussion in that. These guys are wrestling and neither of them overpowers the other, and that's it. There's nothing more to that. The second instance, and really the third one as well, where people would try to use to say that Godzilla is stronger than X, is X jumping in the air at Godzilla and Godzilla redirecting, not stopping, redirecting her force by grabbing her jaw and, redirecting her. That is not Godzilla being stronger than X. That is Godzilla being skillful enough to redirect an attack.
Redirect.
Back on track, whenever Godzilla hits X, which is we really only see one time, X kinda just doesn't care. Whenever Godzilla bites X, she literally doesn't feel a thing, and there is absolutely not a single mark left on her. You can look, there is no thing. Whenever Godzilla gets hit by X, he reels back, and he doesn't kinda care. But whenever her weird serrated tentacle teeth thingies make contact with him, he's screaming in pain, and he is left flayed. His skin is removed. This guy is getting flayed by X.
Grabbing him.
Both of them can dodge each other's bites, both of them are physically relative to each other, but X is far more durable than Godzilla is. She takes no damage from him and he takes a lot of damage from her. X does simply dodge the atomic breath as it is shooting at her. You can look at the images right here. However, she does have the advantage of already knowing that it's coming, so it's not something along the lines of a weakened GVK Kong blocking the thing with only an audio cue, nowhere near as long a charge up time, bad position, but to be fair, that is also a distracted X, and X, by fighting a much healthier Kong, should still be way above GVK Kong. It's just an example to say that this feat is not bad, but it's not necessarily good either. It is definitely better than anything Rodan has.
Fuck Rodan.
Overall, between Godzilla and X, they are physically equal, they have equal speed, X seems to have more durability, Godzilla seems to have less durability, but what we do know for a fact is that Godzilla's attack potency cannot hurt X, and X flays Godzilla. So yeah, do I think that X would defeat Godzilla upon a prolonged battle? Not necessarily, because Godzilla does have a physical equality with her, and he does seem to be the more skilled fighter, and eventually all it's gonna take for him is just to be able to land a single atomic breath, and that's gonna do a lot of damage, as the atomic breath is ultimately still the strongest thing in nature. X would be cooked if Godzilla ever lands an atomic breath, and given that he is shown to be the more skilled fighter and the fact that X ultimately still is just relative to him, Godzilla could pull the win, but you can make an argument for X even if I wouldn't agree with it. Ultimately, the atomic breath is the great equalizer. In the battle against Kong, Kong is territorial and wanting to get this thing out of its territory, which means that he really wouldn't be holding back, since Kong is an extremely angry guy who will literally kill things for existing, such as the skull crawlers. I am right now looking at a tree that looks similar to an ape and thus similar to Kong, and X is mind controlled to do stuff. I don't watch the fucking show's plot. I mainly just focus on the kaiju stuff. Who the fuck watched the show for the plot? Anyways, X is mind controlled and is trying to kill the fuck out of Kong. Now, twice in this battle, X gets buffed. We know that she's getting buffed because first, her performance enhances every single time that she gets these electrical shocks, but also the context to these buffs is that a character asks what happens if Kong wins, then another character gives him a smartass reply and then tells a tech guy to enhance the synaptic control, meaning that she believes that that would enhance Titan X's capabilities for winning, which is exactly what happens. She ends up winning thanks to these buffs. Specifically because she is getting these extra enhancements to her abilities, while Kong really isn't getting any. Do you believe that she gets physically stronger? Then she's getting physically stronger. Do you believe that she's getting more aggressive? Then she's getting more aggressive. Do you believe that she's just being pushed to do harder than what she usually would do, meaning that she's not really getting buffed? It doesn't matter. The point is, she is getting enhanced in some way, shape, or form, while Kong is getting nothing but injuries. Which is to say that in a battle, you have this guy who is being forced to give it everything he possibly has by a synaptic control that completely ignores any subconscious, conscious, or instinctual level limitations, versus a guy who is just boxing. It's, you would expect the guy being forced to do everything he possibly can,
Or she can.
to win. That's what's happening here. And even so, they are still extremely relative. When the battle starts, Kong and X grapple equally. Kong punches X and she is stunned. We don't really see Kong take attacks from X in this initial baseline synaptic control state, but he doesn't scream in pain whenever she grabs him, so that's already better than Godzilla. Alright. Now, by the time that this guy asks what would happen if Kong wins, Kong is shoving X back and pounding her on the head. So, If that's not Kong winning the fight, I don't know what's happening. He is clearly on the path to winning right there. He is pushing her back, he is beating the shit out of her, and a character who is watching the fight along with us is asking what happens if he wins. What is prompting him to ask this? And other characters with different perspectives, especially this woman who is
biased for X,
is literally getting her enhanced. So clearly these guys agree with me. Kong was indeed winning against this baseline synaptic control X. Then she gets a 5% increase to the synaptic control, which makes her go absolutely haywire for a second, and that kinda catches Kong off guard. Milliseconds later, X focuses, locks the fuck in, and is kinda just buffed. She launches at Kong, and you can see the skill on this girl. She goes for Kong's leg and goes to bite his knee, but Kong obviously just pushes down on her head to stop her from doing that. X, even so, continues to press the guy and continues to just fight. Even in this enhanced state, Kong is still relative to X in terms of physical strength, speed, and power. He still is capable of shoving her back slowly, and even when she hits him, the guy is just grunting. That's all he does. They are still relative equals even when X gets a 5% increase to the synaptic control, which isn't to say that she got a 5% buff to her stats, it's just she got a buff. We don't know how much it is to her stats, we just know how much it is to the synaptic control. Then she gets a maximum buff to the synaptic control, pushing it to its absolute limit, and this is when the fight goes to X's favor. It really doesn't until the very last move. Kong is still capable of landing blows, though you can see him getting pushed back. Kong is still capable of taking her attacks, though he does seem to be more affected, and he does seem to be more easily outsmarted in the state where he is getting basically overwhelmed. X then starts using her physiology, her increased agility, to be able to imbalance Kong and throw him off the ground. Kong saves two women and then kinda just shoves X off of him, and he starts pounding the shit out of her. The same strikes that used to stun X don't really do anything anymore, proving that she was getting physical buffs. And with that, she grabs Kong and physically overpowers him. With her second buff, she does just become physically stronger than Kong, though not by a massive increase. Kong at this point is injured, and even so, she only succeeds in overpowering him the second time around that she uses basically the same strategy. At this point, the fight ends, and when it comes to statistics, baseline Synaptic Link X is below Kong in terms of physical ability, first amp Synaptic Link X is equal to Kong, and then the second amp is slightly, if not decently, above a injured Kong. But even so, at any of these points, both of these guys are extremely relative to each other, and Kong kinda does better than Godzilla did, because Kong is pushing X back, Kong is stunning X, Kong doesn't immediately scream in pain from X's attacks. Though he does scream when she bites him, she also screams when he bites her, which X didn't scream when Godzilla bit her. If you want to say that, oh, X's head is more durable than her tentacles, you have absolutely no evidence for that, so, that's kind of rough. Regardless of that, these guys are just kind of relative, and Kong does just do better than Godzilla did, even against an amped X, which is kinda insane, though Godzilla is stronger than a single tentacle arm from X, and Kong's singular arm does seem to be equal to X's singular tentacle, which, does mean that Godzilla should be physically stronger than Kong. I'm gonna leave that whole thing for another video. X is relative to Kong and Godzilla. She does seem to lose to Kong, while she does seem to be perfectly equal with Godzilla, though that may be due to a type advantage or whatever it is. Second amp X is superior to Kong. First amp X is equal to Kong. Baseline X with a synaptic link is below Kong, and then this true base X is perfectly equal to Godzilla. Overall, X is somebody who no one except supercharged Godzilla level opponents such as Ghidorah, or just baseline Godzilla superior such as weakened Ghidorah, would be able to defeat. Now somebody like weakened Ghidorah from Antarctica is still going to be able to beat Titan X because he would be stronger and faster than she is, and as I've said previously in my videos, physical strength kinda trumps everything in the Monsterverse, and Ghidorah also just has 3 heads, each of them being able to burn Godzilla's skin, which should be enough to also do harm to X. Overall, I still would think that Ghidorah would surpass X, ignoring the statements that he is too strong and that only Godzilla can fight him. That doesn't really apply to X, she didn't exist at the time. Regardless of that, X should still just be a one-shot below Shima, that shouldn't change that much, and evolve Tiamat, even though she is physically stronger, faster, and more powerful than X. X is surprisingly durable. Godzilla cannot physically hurt her, and that should mean that X could survive long enough to be able to shred evolved Tiamat to pieces. Now, X needs 2, if not 3 amps to defeat a 2017 Kong. Beast Glove Kong is saucing her up with low difficulty. No difficulty, given that he would have the skill experience against X and thus would do her like he did Ramarak. Let's not talk about Axe Kong, let's not talk about Burning Godzilla or Spiral Away Godzilla. Overall, I think that X is easily top 6, top 5 material, and she is a massive addition to the rank of not God tier but high tier.